They told you Trump's parade was empty. They told you ICE was raiding schools. They told you America hates its president. All lies. One brave journalist just drove 2,500 miles across this nation, stopping at gas stations, diners, street corners to get the real story. And what he discovers is going to shock you to the core. The mainstream media isn't just wrong. They are deliberately deceiving you. From California to Illinois, Americans are waking up to the greatest propaganda campaign in our history, and the evidence is overwhelming. The truth is undeniable. And the man who collected it just showed up in my backyard with the receipts, so keep on watching. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risks onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflations, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. Open a qualified account and receive 2 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins. That's 10 ounces of silver free. So visit nextnewsgold.com or call that number 877-646-5347. It's your exit from the danger zone. Now, going into our, here it is, On the Ground Truth Tour. I just sat down in my backyard with Travis W. Gilmore. He's a friend. He's a White House friend. I met him at the White House. He works for Epoch Times. I'm a subscriber to the Epoch Times. And he told me he was going on this mission. And I said, well, if you're traveling across country, you better stop in Chicago, buddy. Like, you're going to stop at my place. We're going to go out for a drive. I'll show you the town, show you the studio, and then we're going to talk about what you've learned. And, well, here it is. What's up, everybody? It's Gary Franchi and Travis Gilmore. Look who's here. Look who showed up in Illinois from the Epoch Times. Travis, what are you doing in Illinois?
Oh, it's great to be here, Gary. Thank you so much for having me. You caught me on a cross-country road trip. We're going coast to coast right now, just getting the pulse of America, seeing what's going on, how the people are feeling.
Really? Where do you start out? California?
Started in California, coast in Fort Bragg. It's a little town most people have never going to have heard of, but 2 hours north of San Francisco. It's beautiful, Mendocino coastline. So we started out there. We worked our way over. So I'm on a solo mission here. Done about 2,500 miles so far.
Oh, wow.
Came across Reno, went through Elko, Salt Lake City, up through Wyoming. Then I shot down to Colorado for a few days. It's been a really fun.
So you're getting the pulse of America. You've got a big feature that's going to be coming out in the Epoch Times. I'm a subscriber. You guys should subscribe if you haven't yet. I get it in my mailbox. Love it. So you got a big feature coming out, and you're just taking the pulse of America, the heartbeat, like the heartland of America by going through it. And what are you seeing so far?
I'm seeing lots of really interesting things. So on a 4th of July perspective, what I'm seeing is a lot of people are really excited. So lots of traveling, everyone's excited about food, having fun with their family, and from all walks of life. Talk to all different ages, all race, every type of person. Everyone loves the 4th. They all have their different reasons, but it's really cool to see the common ground there. I am seeing some tension when I talk to people on the streets. So not related to the 4th as much, but just when we've got a lot of foreign policy stuff, a lot of geopolitical tensions, a lot of things going on here domestically as well. So when I talk to people on the streets, I'm hearing a lot of concerns from some people about ICE. So depending on who you talk to, people are either really excited about ICE, they love to hear what Tom Homan's doing, what the administration's doing to secure the border. It has to be noted that going through all these states, even in Nebraska, yesterday when I was going through, there is a significant amount of graffiti and talk on the streets. When you just talk to the regular people out there, that there's a combination. You can talk to some people who are afraid, other people are angry, and we all know what happens when you have fear and anger. Like, these are very powerful emotions. So it's really going to be interesting to see where this plays out from here.
So you're traveling through, and like, you're seeing every cross section of America, and you approach these people like you're just some guy walking up to them in the gas station or a diner. And is it easy to get
Americans to open up to you? Because you're talking about sensitive topics.
Yes.
Like, a lot, they say in a bar, you don't talk religion, you don't talk politics. That goes the same in some of the places across the country. You don't just walk up to a stranger and start asking them, what do you think about Iran? What do you think about ICE? Like, those are very hard conversations to have. Are you finding it easy, that these are actually easier conversations, or are you pulling teeth?
It can be both.
Really?
Absolutely, yes. And then there's also just this concern. The general public sometimes doesn't want to deal with the media. And you see this a lot of times too. The higher up a person is in their organization, the less likely they are to want to talk to the media, the more they are very cautious with their words. So it's really interesting talking to the person on the street. You either get the one that you start the interview and then it's very difficult to get out of it because they have so many things they want to say, or you have where they don't want to say anything. Either don't want to say anything about the media or about the specific topic. I always try to find the common ground initially, where something we can talk about that's not, and then if we can lead into something that's a little more sensitive, then we have that to go with as well. But like you said, if you just go straight to Iran or straight to something tough, probably not going to.
Hey, what do you think about those bunker busters? How'd you wake up to that news, right?
And because we both have experience in the White House, it kind of helps lead into the politics. A lot of times they'll ask me, oh, what do you do? Where are you from? Oh, I'm a White House reporter. So then automatically we're into that political sphere. And because people have a lot of questions for us. So I like the two-way street. I love when they're asking me questions about work. How is it getting to speak with the president or speak with Caroline's team or all these things? It's really cool where you can relate to people, get their questions answered, you get your questions answered. In the end, we actually have a relationship instead of just being this crazy guy who came and approached you. And it is really, it's fun. But life is, as all your listeners know, is that when you just kind of go with the flow, we all come together when we're supposed to. And that's one of the fun things about this adventure is I get to see how similar we all are. We all love family. We all love this country. We all want to see it do better. And that how we get there, we might have some different ideas, but when we come together, we can really make things happen.
Is it evident when you talk to people what side of the fence they're on, whether they're Democrat or Republican? Do their talking points reflect the media that they're digesting? How easy is it for you to ascertain off the first thing they say as to, what if they're Republican, Democrat, or whatever?
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very challenging. And then sometimes it's easy. So I started off this trip in California where you think you're going to you have a preconceived notion of who you're going to run into out on the streets. And it just so happened that the people I was running into, a lot of conservative voices.
Really?
So that was surprising. And then as you move through different communities, sometimes when I start talking with someone, I have an idea like, oh, they're probably going to go this way. And they shock me and go completely the other way. But one of the things I've noticed is that we're seeing a change right now. So we've seen, even in California, I had multiple people tell me on this trip that lifelong Democrats, but once, their words exactly, once my finances are impacted, I don't care how I voted before. So this is someone who, yes, maybe they have this political ideology, but now their quality of life is being affected. And now this is completely changing their voting pattern. So this is opportunities for one side. At the same time, we're now seeing this interesting divide here with ICE. Where do we go from here? Do the Democrats capitalize on this, try to get back some of these votes? Do the Republicans recognize and try to fine-tune their messaging and really make people understand why this is happening and what's going on? There's a lot of unknowns. When I talk to people, it's unknowns about the tariffs, it's unknowns about the ICE. And just like when we see Wall Street doesn't like unknowns, the American people also, it leaves them this sense of anxiety, really, when they don't know what's coming.
So you're seeing a lot of American people who still have unanswered questions, and they're not able to really ascertain the direction of this White House. I mean, from what I can see, the messaging from the White House has been pretty clear, but that clarity from the top isn't translating down to the people. Is that easy? Is that a correct assessment?
I think that is a correct assessment. I would also say, and I agree with you, that the messaging from the White House is clear. The problem is if we ask these people where are they getting their messaging, it's probably the middleman where things are getting distorted. So depending on whatever their media outlet is, that's then distorting what the White House is saying or giving them this mixed messaging in terms of the effectiveness or the impacts of these different policy decisions.
That's why Epoch Times is so important. That's why Next News Network is so important, because when I'm reporting, I'm delivering exactly what the White House is saying. I'm getting the White House press releases. I'm covering the press briefings. You're seeing all the messaging from all the members of the administration, and their message is very clear. So I translate that message with clarity, I digest it with clarity, and I present it with clarity, and my viewers understand that. Now, of course, I have 2.25 million subscribers, just in one slice of the internet ecosystem.
Yeah.
And those people speak to other people, so there is a ripple effect that goes out. In Epoch Times, you guys are print, you're on video, you're on, you have every single medium covered through Epoch Times, and your reach is massive as well. So the clarity that we're presenting, it just needs to get out there more. I find myself more often than not correcting narratives that are coming out of MSNBC or CNN or any of the mainstream outlets, and it's so frustrating.
Yes.
Like we did a report just yesterday about the Ice Block app that has just that.
Oh yeah.
And CNN's out there like promoting it.
Yes.
And you can hear how they're couching it like, oh, it's something like, yeah, it's pretty dangerous, but they're still amplifying it. They're talking to the guy who created it. They're explaining it piece by piece how to use it and how to download it. So even though they try to couch it as like some kind of a, unbiased report, they're amplifying that message. And when they amplify the message, it clouds the judgment of Americans, even though like only 4 people are watching CNN.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a distortion of that message, though, that really is dangerous when you see how it impacts the average person. Because when I'm out in the streets right now and I hear these people telling me they're arresting people at school and they're pulling people out of offices, this is the fear that I have not seen any evidence of this, but just the fact that these people have this belief that this is happening, it is.
Well, here's a perfect example. Chicago, mainstream press in Chicago. Terry Newsom, shout out. He was the one that covered this. He saw it on the press, and it was an ICE raid at a school, okay? But actually, it wasn't. The media painted it as an ICE raid, but it was actually, there were federal agents that were serving a warrant on somebody who had some criminal background, and it was distorted by the press as if it was an ICE raid. But then the story goes out. And that's all people hear. They don't hear the retraction. They don't hear the correction. And that's like the biggest problem is when the mainstream press jumps on a story that goes to fit their own narrative and the damage is already done.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's why people on the street, at the gas station, at the diner, are going, yeah, they're arresting people at schools. I saw it on WGN News. Well, they didn't watch the night after when they corrected the story.
Yes. And then there's also a lot of people, and I don't watch enough of the mainstream outlets to know where this narrative is coming from, but a lot of these people were asking me, so what happened to the Army parade? They heard that there was no crowds there. I was there. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people never actually made it in. So I don't know if this is CNN, MSNBC. One of these outlets definitely took some shots of what looked like wide open spaces, said no one's at the parade. Wow. So I interviewed these people in Elko that basically told me our little parade with 400, 500 people had more than that one. And I was like, no, I was there. There were thousands of people in DC that never actually got into.
Because it was overcrowded.
It was overcrowded, and they had a really weird security situation. So they changed because the inclement weather was coming, and they really wanted to do. Trump wanted to do the flyover. They had this whole itinerary plan, and so they made this decision last minute to move the schedule up. So the president, when usually if we see a guidance, the president will be here at 5 p.m. We're all there early, but we're usually at 5:45, 6.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's late. He works so hard. He's pushing every meeting goes longer than expected. It's not like he's late to one.
Yeah.
They just all go long, and then it ends up pushing the day back. Well, for this event, he starts 45 minutes early. So we look up on the podium, there's the president. No one's even expecting him yet.
What?
And when he shows up early, they shut down every gate. So now before logistically, they had figured, okay, we'll let everybody in. Now Secret Service shuts down everything. So now they can't, all these people, me included, are stuck on the outside, can't get in. While the media is running wide frame shots of the other side, not showing the literally thousands and thousands of people snaked all the way around that are there for the parade.
Oh my goodness.
But can't get in. And then now that while I'm on this trip, I'm here, so I'm having to correct that narrative, just like you said.
Unbelievable. Wow.
It's just optics. And one side, and there's no objective reality to some of these outlets. I'm not going to name names, but your viewers know perfectly well who is capable of providing objective, real news. There's one side that is not interested at all. That is all about creating optics, creating headlines, playing this gotcha moment, when there are plenty of us on the ground that really are working hard. We want you to know what is going on and what is really happening at the White House, what the administration is doing, and then around the country. Because it's really, that's the other cool thing about the road trip. When you and I are at the White House, we're stuck in this bubble.
Yeah.
It's really cool seeing history in action, but we're not seeing how it impacts the people. And to be out here in the heartland, seeing everyone and seeing how the policies impact people, how just the idea of policy impacts people is so impactful that it really just, it highlights to me, or it reinforces to me our mission as journalists to really, an informed, educated public actually has the power to make the right decisions for all of us. Yeah. And so that's our goal, is just to inform the public so that when it does come time for elections, we make the decisions and we're all in a better situation because of it.
Yeah, that's always been my thing. We want to give people as much information that they can act on to make the best informed choices for themselves and their families. And unfortunately, when you turn on a lot of the news stations, even local news, it's so skewed. It's even just some of the slight choice words that are used that just skew the angle just enough that it's subliminally absorbed by the populace, and then everyone's misinformed, and then you're out there in the middle of the country correcting narratives, yes, on the side of the road. Like, it's crazy.
And it's a weaponization of language. When you look at how these things are very carefully crafted and created, it's evil genius. It's very
yeah. Well, Travis, it's really cool to have you out here. We're sitting in my backyard. I heard he was coming through town. I said, you got to stop by and just hang out. And, I want to hear about your trip. And he's now sharing that with us. So what's next for Travis Gilmore, Epoch Times? And you're going on to back to the White House soon?
Going back to the White House soon. Got a lot going on. So the president is back here in Iowa, right next door, in July 3rd, America 250, the celebrations. This is the kickoff to this. It's going to be a year-long celebration around the country. It's going to culminate next July 4th in D.C., massive party. So definitely, no matter where you're at in the country, keep an eye on America 250. It's a great organization, completely nonpartisan. This is just celebrating freedom and the democracy are the foundations of this country. And then on July, basically the end of this week, we're headed to going to Seoul, to South Korea, and to Kuala Lumpur with Marco Rubio.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Holy cow.
It should be fun. So there's an economic summit.
Have you ever been there before?
No, the first time.
Wow, I wonder what the food's going to be like.
I'm curious as well.
Yeah.
Yes, this is going to be good. And then the president, I don't know if you're going July 15th in Pennsylvania with Senator McCormick.
Oh.
That's what we've got on the initial window here.
Interesting. Well, we're going to keep track of all the White House activities wherever we are in the world. And we're here with Travis Gilmore and the Epoch Times. And great to have you out here, man.
Thanks so much, Gary. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
So Travis Gilmore right there in the backyard. And if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. It's time for my final thought. Now, here's why this matters. It's because we're living through the death of objective journalism. When Travis Gilmore reveals that media outlets deliberately photograph empty spaces at packed Trump events, that's not bias, that's warfare. When Chicago press screams about ICE school raids that never happened, that's not a mistake, that's sabotage. The Epoch Times and Next News Network stand as the last line of defense between you and total information control. We deliver the White House briefings unfiltered. We show you the crowds they hide. We correct the narratives they push, because when the press becomes the propaganda arm of the resistance, independent journalism becomes an act of rebellion. So here's my question. Do you trust any mainstream media outlet to tell you the truth anymore? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And while you are fired up, check out our new merch. You can see it right there on screen. Alligator Alcatraz merch, President Otto Pen merch. It's all linked down below. Show the world you stand with real journalism, and you can trigger a liberal today. It's shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.